Hello and welcome to So Many Comics, So Little Time, Superhero Reviews, reviewing the first appearance of the Justice League of America. This is our JLA review number one, a look at the Brave and the Bold comic book number 28. And here we see the original Justice League of America logo. And so let's take a look here at this first appearance. As I said, they appeared in Brave and the Bold number 28. This was in March of 1960 as a publishing date. And it's distinctive as the first superhero team with multiple existing heroes in DC's Silver Age of comics. The Silver Age began in 1956, which came after, of course, the Golden Age. The same um, precious metals continuum is also in use with Marvel, though there are different dates involved there. We'll talk about that down the road. So here we have a screenshot of the Brave and the Bold Justice League of America first issue. First issue for the JLA. It's number 28 for Brave and the Bold. And we see five heroes: Green Lantern, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. The world's greatest heroes team up to battle Starro the Conqueror. And the writer's Gardner Fox. He did a lot of DC's Silver Age stuff. Mike Sikowski, also well known DC artist, very well known if you're a fan of the Silver Age. And various inkers and letterers. The editor is Julius Schwartz, who is responsible for a lot of um, DC's Silver Age stuff, and he's the kind of the equivalent of Stan Lee in a sense. So here we have interior splash page, Justice League of America. Remember, this is the first time anyone had seen them. Okay, so here we have um, seven heroes in little face shots here, headshots. Now we see the same heroes we had before on the cover, plus Superman and Batman. Why weren't they on the cover? Interesting. So, foes of evil, enemies of injustice, of the mighty heroes of the Justice League of America. All wrongdoing is a menace to be stamped out, whether it comes from outer space, from the watery depths of the seven seas, or springs full blown from the minds of men. It's actually sounding like something Stan Lee would write. Banded together to fight all foes of humanity, the mightiest heroes of our time battle the menace of Starro the Conqueror, which is kind of weird when you think about it. The all foes of humanity, considering that two of these heroes are out and out aliens. Uh, One is a magically constructed humanoid, Wonder Woman. Uh, Green Lantern works basically as an intergalactic space cop for a bunch of blue aliens. Aquaman is, depending on the origin story, either a hybrid Atlantean human or a human who somehow learned how to breathe underwater. Either way, he's not typical. And Flash, of course, got his powers through, you know, being hit by lightning and chemicals originally, and then they add the Speed Force down the road. And then there's Batman, who's really the only true representative of, quote, regular humanity. Um, so just an interesting commentary there. But this is the roll call banner from inside the book. Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern, Batman, Flash, and John Jones. Who now I'm curious as to why they called him John Jones here instead of the Martian Manhunter. Maybe they ran out of room. I don't know. So Superman and Batman really only have cameo appearances in this comic. Clearly, they were added for marketing purposes, which is probably not a bad idea. They were the two most popular heroes, still are. This did allow the other heroes to have more visibility, which is, I think, the whole point. They wanted to increase the visibility of these other heroes so that, you know, their own titles could probably also get a boost in sales, because it all come down to, it's a business. So who are these heroes? So Aquaman, this is the order of the banner we saw a moment ago. Aquaman, hero from DC's Golden Age, first appeared November 1941. First appearance in More Fun Comics number 73, which is a comic book that also featured the first appearance of Green Arrow, who was not yet a member of the JLA. He's one of the few Golden Age heroes to make it to the Silver Age, mostly unchanged. And here's a shot from his first appearance at the end of that story of Aquaman in More Fun Comics number 73. So who are these heroes again? Wonder Woman, very well-known character, then and now. another hero from DC's Golden Age, first appeared December 1941 in All Star Comics number 8. Here's an image from that comic. And again, relatively unchanged from the Golden Age to the Silver Age, other than a few stylistic things, and with a change of writers from her creator to the Silver Age writers. She took on a less feminist role, shall we say, and became more of a typical 1950s stereotype of a female superhero. Um, and that's just kind of the way it was back then. So again, kind of like Batman, who we'll talk about in a minute. Some of her so-called on-screen or on-page persona did change over time. And we have the Big Blue, Superman, the original hero from DC's Golden Age, and he first appeared in June 1938 to kick off DC's Golden Age of Superheroes, in Action Comics number 1. He again is one of the few Golden Age heroes to make it to the Silver Age. Again, mostly unchanged, but his powers did change, and also his persona. He was very much a hero for the working class and the poor and the oppressed in the early issues in the late 30s, early 40s. Remember, it's Great Depression time. And then he became more of an establishment figure in World War II, and then on into 1950s, which was a very conservative, socially, um, how should I say? He was a figure of the establishment, shall we say, and he's also was appealing more toward kids, so they took a lot of the politics out of it. Very political, some very political stories in the early Superman tales of the late 30s, early 40s. So here we have Green Lantern, a new hero created for the Silver Age, based on an old hero from the Golden Age, also called Green Lantern. The Silver Age Green Lantern you see here is Hal Jordan, test pilot, Man Without Fear. Oh, wait, that sounds like Daredevil. Ooh, can't talk about Marvel. Um, so the Golden Age Green Lantern had a power ring powered by magic. The Silver Age Green Lantern we see here is got his ring from an alien. He basically is a space cop working for the bunch of blue aliens who are imposing order upon a chaotic universe. Again, he is definitely an establishment figure, which is very well highlighted in the later series where he teams up with a more anti-establishment version of Green Arrow. But that's again for the future. So then we have Batman, the other big hero from the Golden Age. He and Superman have always been the two most popular characters from DC. And he first appeared May 1939, kind of an angel of vengeance, to borrow a phrase from another story. But he again was much more violent in the late 30s, early 40s, until Robin came along, and he became again more of an establishment character. And then, of course, in the 60s with the Adam West TV show, he changed radically on page. But by the time the JLA showed up, he was milled out a bit, compared to modern day, and then compared to the early or the late 30s. I mean, so again, relatively unchanged, other than some persona issues. Again, the only hero here without any real powers, other than being rich. Um, then we have the Flash, who is again a new hero created for the Silver Age, but he's based on the Golden Age character called the Flash. Different uniform, basically same powers. He first appeared in a comic called Showcase number 4, October 1956. Um, and his first appearance in 1956 marks the beginning of the rebooted DC universe, as it were. They didn't call it a reboot back then, but that's what it was, and the start of DC's Silver Age. And here's an image from Flash in Showcase number 4. So, and then we get John Jones, or John Johns. That's how I was in my mind pronounced it when I was first reading these stories when I was a kid. Um, Also called the Martian Manhunter. He is literally alien from Mars, and he was accidentally transported to Earth by a scientist. So he has an interesting power set. I really think DC underutilized him a lot, um, in the 50s and 60s. He first appeared in November 1955, Detective Comics number 225. Detective Comics was and is one of Batman's top issues and titles, and they often would have a backup story where they would either follow other heroes who didn't have their own book, or in this case, introduce new heroes. So he's a new hero, kind of in that gray area between the golden and silver ages. To call 1955 part of the golden age isn't really accurate. Technically, the silver age didn't start until Flash showed up the next year. So he's in that between golden and silver, and I don't know, metallurgists might be able to tell me what, if you mix gold and silver, what that's called, but I don't know. So I call it a gray area. A good character, again, underutilized, I think, in a lot of ways. The villain, you got to have a villain. Starro the Conqueror. His first appearance was in Brave and the Bold, number 28, with no first appearance to the JLA, March 1960. He's a new villain created to face the JLA. He's an alien creature from the planet Hattori. The name of the planet came much later in DC continuity. And he's a recurring DC Comics villain. You see him a lot from, Brave and the Bold 28 up to today. He made his live action movie debut in 2021 Suicide Squad film, which is actually a pretty comic accurate rendition of Starro. It's kind of a fun movie, not for kids, but they did a good job on Starro, I thought. And here is an image of Starro from the movie, looking all menacing, and then an image of Starro and his little starlets. I don't think that's what they're called, but I'm calling them that. In a later issue of Justice League of America, number 190. So Starro's been around for a while. Considering they basically made an alien, a starfish shaped alien for the first villain, he's actually done pretty well for himself as a villain. So the background story here to the JLA. Why the JLA? DC editor Julius Schwartz decided to revitalize the idea of a superhero team. Again, looking back to the golden age, DC had a superhero team called the Justice Society of America, which united a bunch of existing characters into a team. They debuted in December 1940 in All Star Comics number 3. Interesting, fun little note here. Now, the stories of the origin of Marvel's Silver Ages mythologized a lot. So between Stan Lee's alleged poor memory, his storytelling, and the fact that a lot of the stuff is like, oh, someone so said such and such, but the legend has it that Marvel, i.e., Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, came up with Marvel's first Silver Age team when Marvel's publisher told him to come up with something to compete with DC's Justice League. So supposedly Julius Schwartz and Martin Goodman, the main dudes from DC and Marvel, were playing a game of golf. Allegedly, this is the story, and Schwartz is talking about Justice League and how it was doing, and etc. And Marvel, frankly, they copied a lot of stuff from DC, but in some cases made it better. So the order went to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby to create a Marvel superhero team. So, thus, the Fantastic Four was born in 1961. And here we see the image showing the first appearance of the JLA and the Fantastic Four. Though realistically, though, Marvel's real analog to the JLA is the Avengers, a team of pre-existing heroes that came together to fight a big menace. In that case, in Avengers 1, the menace was Thor's brother, Loki, an existing villain. The Fantastic Four is similar to the JLA's first appearance in that it's the first appearance of the villain, but different in that they created out of whole cloth 4 new heroes with an origin story. Again, a little bit different from the JLA where they were all existing heroes. So, what's the storyline here in this first appearance? Aquaman discovers a big threat. Here's a scene from Brave and the Bold number 28. And we see on his daily patrol, Aquaman swims in the waters off the Atlantic coast. And he says, thought bubble here, because he can't talk underwater, allegedly. My friend Peter, the pufferfish, is calling me. And great Neptune, what an incredible tale he is thought beaming at me. It's about Starro the Conqueror coming into the ocean and causing trouble. So, in this first JLA adventure, Peter the Pufferfish alerts Aquaman to Starro's threat. I really want to see a Peter the Pufferfish action figure. He's in a sense, he's part of the JLA, right? I want a Peter the Pufferfish action figure now. All right. So then Aquaman alerts his teammates. They meet in the JLA meeting cave. And was the cave Batman's idea? Green Arrow had a cave too. I don't know. What's this with caves? So, and five of the members gather together. We notice there's 7 chairs. 2 of them are apparently empty. They'll talk about that later. And so Aquaman is briefing them on what's going on. So this is not an origin story. That's pretty clear here. This is a first appearance of an existing team. This is where it gets complicated. In to any fan, it's like, guys, they're not an existing team. So basically, it's like, boom, we're dropping in the middle of the JLA's storyline. So apparently, there's stuff before this story that occurred, which we'll see again in a future issue. So here, the JLA is already created. So why mess up a story with origins, right? So the JLA responds. The call goes out to different heroes. Um, what about Superman? Well, he's busy saving Earth again. If he stops to answer the JLA signal, well, these asteroids might come in and ding up the Earth. So he's out there in space saving us. Similar to Batman, right? He is on the hunt for, as quote, 2 arch enemies who joined forces to loot Gotham City. I'll keep in constant touch with the other members and trust I won't be needed to finish this business at hand. I'm really curious who the 2 arch enemies might be. I did some online researching, and apparently this is just a throwaway line. There's no actual connection to what Batman was doing in either Batman or Detective Comics or any other book he was in. Too bad. I'm kind of curious what was going on and what 2 arch enemies were teaming up to cause this issue. DC, they should do something about that. I'm really curious. So, one of the weird little things about early Silver Age JLA and other team up stories is that the heroes often they met together, discuss, talk about the menace, then they split up either singly or in very small teams to go deal with the issue. Um, the very similar to how the Justice Society functioned in the 40s. So here we have Green Lantern taking on one of Starro's little starlets on his own. Similar, Flash goes off and deals with one of Starro's little minions on his own, and we then run into also Snapper Carr, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. Another new character created for this book. And then we have Wonder Woman and the Martian Manhunter teaming up together to face another one of Starro's minions. Starro is gathering up various powers and information and whatnot to help him do his diabolical deed. Um, so, and again, the physics of this, right? The Starro's little minion is picks up an entire building full of scientists, and the building doesn't fall apart. We don't see people falling off. It's like the physics of the DC Silver Age is like, oh, we'll pick up a building and it won't fall apart. We'll pick up a building and it's not going to, the building will still work. Like Superman saving an airplane. Uh, in one of the movies, it showed that, oh yeah, the plane might fall apart if you grab it the wrong way. Silver Age physics. So, and here we get the way Starro's defeated. I mean, he's a tough little bugger. He's defeated by lawn products. Huh? So always, this is again a very Silver Age thing. Remember, the audience that they thought they were appealing to were kids, and so they had to be educational, or else Congress would come down on them and say, "You guys are corrupting youth," and that happened back in the 40s. So they wanted to avoid that. So they're very much youth oriented, and that means you got to educate the little buggers too. So, um, so they're inserting scientific knowledge into the minds of our young readers. DC has a Flash, who is a forensic scientist in real life, Barry Allen, ordering Green Lantern to create a spectroscope with his power ring to check out why the kid, Snapper Carr, is immune to Starro's mental telepathic controls. Um, and Aquaman inserts some seafaring knowledge to help out. So basically, Lime has a which is the scientific name is calcium oxide, which Snapper Carr was applying to his parents' lawn like a good little kid. Uh, that is apparently something that starfish are vulnerable to. Even though Starro is really an alien, just looks like a starfish, this Earth lawn product is still going to affect him like an Earth starfish. Apparently, hey, it's a story, right? So wait a minute, who's this kid? Snapper Carr. I had to do a little research on this one, and in the Silver Age, as I said, they're appealing to kids, and so a lot of comics, both Marvel and DC, had heroes with sidekicks. Think Robin with Batman. Think Supergirl to a somewhat lesser extent with Superman. Think Speedy with Green Arrow. Okay, so and Marvel side, Bucky with Captain America, and Toro with the Human Torch, the original Torch. So here we have a character, a civilian teenage kid, I had to research this. He's based on a popular TV character from the 1950s and 60s, whose the character's name is Gerald Lloyd Kooky Cookson III from the popular 77 Sunset Strip TV show, kind of a detective show. They had him kind of as the teen sidekick, though I think he's a little bit older than a teen in most of that show. But his thing is snapping his fingers and talking the teenage hip language. So it's kind of a crass attempt to appeal to a younger audience. But again, it's a marketing thing, so I can understand that. So summary of the Brave and the Bold number 28. The Good. It's the first appearance of the JLA. I love the JLA. Justice League of America. Most action in the plot does not center around Superman and Batman. I see that's a good thing. It gives the other heroes an opportunity to get more of the limelight. Sorry, couldn't help the pun with lime, the lawn product. But limelight and lime are really not the same thing. Anyway, but Aquaman kind of gets the short shrift. I didn't really talk much about that, but he doesn't really tackle one of Starro's minions on his own. His major contribution is information about how lime is not good for starfish, and uh, being the go-between between Peter the pufferfish and the JLA for warning them. So I still want that Peter the pufferfish action figure. The JLA cave slash headquarters looks kind of cool. It looks like, hey, if I'm a superhero, I like to lounge out there, right? They don't have their satellite yet. That comes later. So on the good side, it's good Silver Age art style by Mike Sekowsky. Always liked his art style. That's my personal. It's different than what we see in most comics today, but it's a Silver Age. It was fun. I liked it, and it's a typical DC Silver Age storyline. Superheroes detect a threat. They meet. They figure out what they're going to do. They go deal with it individually or in small groups. Come together in the end, and that's And then there's some moralizing, and then they make it educational for kids, and there's no real super duper violence. So it's typical Silver Age storyline. The bad side. Aquaman is relegated to a secondary role. I like Aquaman. He gets joked about a bit, okay? But he doesn't really have much of a role. There's no origin story of the JLA. We see that in JLA number 9, which is a few months away. The villain is a giant fish. Okay. He's an alien, but basically he's a giant fish. Who is ratted out by another fish. Again, where's my Peter the Pufferfish action figure? Huh? So Snapper Carr. Okay, I don't like Snapper Carr. He bugs me. Now, if I was a kid back in the late 50s, early 60s, would I have liked Snapper Carr with his hip lingo and his snapping of the fingers and the way he is? I don't know. But as me growing up when I did, and even now as a grown up, it's like, oh man, he's irritating. So, okay, that just might be me, but just that's my opinion. And again, the bad, it's a typical DC Silver Age storyline. It's kind of silly. Okay. The physics of picking up a building and not having it fall apart under your Starro tentacles. Okay. Again, suspension of disbelief is something you have to do in any kind of fiction, but it's that's just the way it is. And so DC Silver Age is both good and cringy at times. Overall, I'm happy that they did the story. Okay. It's a typical DC Silver Age storyline. So what's next for the JLA? After the team's published debut in Brave and the Bold 28, they appear in the next two issues of Brave and the Bold. Then they get their own title with launch of Justice League of America #1. Yay! So that is our um, our so little comics, so many comics, so little time review of the first appearance of the Justice League of America. If you like this, and you want to see more like it, please subscribe to this YouTube channel as we continue to explore the Silver Age JLA and then other DC and Marvel teams and characters. We'll be doing something similar with the Fantastic Four, Avengers, X-Men, etc. So we also have a podcast and all your regular podcast places. So many comics, so little time is what it's called. Um, and we are talking comic books, superhero shows, Star Wars, Star Trek, and other geeky stuff. And still waiting for Firefly season 2. So I am a geek all the way around, and there you have it, folks. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Our podcast covers other topics because, frankly, it's quicker and easier to do a podcast than a full-on video. But again, if you like what we're doing, subscribe to one or both, and that tells me that there's people like it, and we'll be doing more. So thank you all very much, and you take care and enjoy the JLA and read Justice League of America comics because they are good. Thank you very much. This is So Many Comics, So Little Time, signing off.